Hello. It's my pleasure today to have as a guest Bianca Stigter, who is the director of the film 3 Minutes, a Lengthening, which you've just seen. And Bianca, welcome to Chicago, if only virtually.
I wish I could be there in person, but yeah.
We do too. We do too. And I hope one day you will come and visit with us here. Bianca, what a powerful film. Such an amazing, powerful film. I was reflecting on the film and thinking about the timing of our film festival. And as I start to think about getting ready for Passover, I couldn't help but think Dayenu. If only David Kurtz had not made if he had just made the film and his grandson hadn't found it, and if he had found it and it had not been able to be, kind of refurbished and available, and if you hadn't come to learning about the film and then to bring it to us. So Dayenu, and thank you for this wonderful gift. So you are by profession, you're a historian and a film critic, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So
historian first, film critic second.
Yeah. So what inspired you to take on this project?
It was also a coincidence, really. I had stumbled upon the book of Glenn Kurtz, 3 Minutes in Poland, on Facebook. And then I had watched the footage on the website of the Holocaust Museum in Washington. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great? You see these people in color, looking so lively, if we could somehow extend these 3 minutes to keep this past in the presence a bit longer. But not working as a filmmaker, I didn't really think anything of it, but just like, oh, wouldn't it be great if... But then I got the opportunity as a film critic to make a video essay for the film festival in Rotterdam. And I said, well, I would like to do this, extend this found footage from this small town in Poland. And they said, okay, well, go ahead and try. So then I contacted Glenn Kurtz and I interviewed him. And I got the access to the material from the Holocaust Museum. And then we made a kind of short, longer version of, let's say, 20 minutes. And the reaction was quite good to that. And I thought, yeah, it's still, 20 minutes is good, but I think we can still make it much longer. We can make it longer than an hour and still be a very interesting experiment. So we tried to find funding for it and went ahead and made it to the length it is today.
How long did it take you to make the film, from research to actually, being able to?
Well, let's say I took my time. It took me more than 5 years, but I wasn't working on this only. I was at the same time working on a book, very big book about the history of the Second World War in Amsterdam, my hometown, the Netherlands, which also has a very interesting history. There was also a town with a very large Jewish population before the war. So I made a kind of documentation of everything that happened in Amsterdam during the war. And when I wasn't working on that book, I was working on the film. So I went back and forth all the time. But I think that was in a way good because we put it together slowly. So in your mind, you could mull it over all the time. Does this work? Does this not work? Maybe not, maybe this. So organically we could layer it and build it up to what it is now. So I think it was good for the film that we didn't rush it, but that we let it take its time and think about it. We tried a lot of things that also did not end up in the film, because all the more, let's say, the more freakier ideas we had, the material always called us back. There you have to respect the material. You can't stray away from it too much, because it's so powerful. You don't want to, yeah, anything that you did was a bit too odd. It was like, no. We had one thing in it still, that you see this kind of game setting, that we made a kind of 3D model from it. That
Yes.
I thought, okay, we show that more as a kind of possibility, like all the kind of things you can do. But in the end, also we used more the, let's say, the old material than the digital version, because that all becomes a bit, blurry, as if you're watching it in an aquarium or something.
So
Restraint was very important.
so that leads me to my next question. How do you prioritize what you wanted to focus on? So, for instance, like I loved the way that you focused on the people, the faces. You really, you gave the people humanity.
That was, of course, extremely important. That was really one of the goals, and I really wanted to, often the Holocaust is also kind of abstract. Yes, so many people died, and now here you can see a little bit of who were these people then, to give them their individuality and try to find out as much as possible about them. And of course, we haven't succeeded in giving the names back to the faces, let's say. So I thought, let's then have those faces be the individuals, and make a kind of memorial for them. That was a very important aspect for me. Yes.
And how did you decide to just put have the film constantly playing and to put the narration behind it, which was really powerful?
Yeah, that I thought the material is so powerful, and of course it also works a bit like a kind of detective story, that we're going to try to extract as much information and meaning from the celluloid as possible. Sometimes I felt like we are like detectives or archaeologists, really, but we don't have a face or a broken stones, but a piece of film, which is also, of course, a material thing. That's why I'd like to show that you really saw that the film itself, the little images like this. So not to forget that what we look at is really also kind of artifact made from cattle and plastic. Very strange to realize, especially now that we're in the digital world and everything is only made of pixels. There was really a material, a thing, a piece of movie and also then could be destroyed very, very easily. So we're very lucky that Glenn found it when he did, and it could still be restored, because it was gone forever.
I mean, timing all the way around was the luck of the timing, truly all the way around, that Mr. Chandler is alive and well and able to, identify people and share his memories. I mean, that was.
He has very good memory. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
the fact that his granddaughter was able to identify him at 13, she didn't know it. No, she didn't know him at 13.
No. Amazing, huh? Yeah, that is really amazing.
Truly amazing. And so I noticed, one thing that I typically, when I'm doing a film festival and I'm doing an interview, I watch the film all the way through thinking about the music. Because it's subliminal, but it adds a lot to a film.
Absolutely.
And what stood out to me is that there was very little music in the film. And I felt that must be intentional. And so I wanted to ask you about it. How did you choose what music you put in? Why did you choose it?
Yes. Well, there are two pieces of music that could have been heard at that time in 1938. That is one of the survivors, Leslie Klodek, who doesn't appear in the film, but was also a survivor from Nachels. He remembered that they listened to the BBC and that a certain orchestra they would hear and people would dance to it. So I thought that it's nice to use music that actually could have been there. And the same with the cantor Kusevitsky, that Mr. Chandler remembered coming to Nachels. So we used a psalm that he sings as well. And then I thought, okay, it is of course a movie without sound, a silent movie. So you also want people to experience that. Don't fill it up completely, but you have to, know that it's a silent movie. The images are the only thing we have. But still, sometimes you want music to enhance certain things or to help with the rhythm. So I asked a young Dutch composer I had heard about, and he saw the film and he said, he closed his eyes and yeah, okay. And then 2 weeks later he came and he had understood it completely. So I was very, very, very happy with it.
It really speaks to the power of those 3 minutes of film, right? That the composer was able to write within 2 weeks,
Exactly. Yeah.
Just an amazing story all the way around. Can you speak a little bit about the piece where you're in the square and the narrative behind it comes from the Oneg Shabbat?
Yes. Well, when you read Glenn Kurt's book, 3 Minutes in Poland, there's of course much more information than you could ever give in a film, because it's a thick book. Film you can't do all that information. So I had to think of a way, what information are we gonna share, and so we'll use information that has a link to what we see. And this story, which is from the Ringelblum archives, eyewitness account, was of course a very important story. So also I thought, okay, I want you to hear it, the whole thing, not just a part, but the whole thing. It's in Glenn's book, it's a few pages. And I thought, okay, the only visual connection we have with this is that it took place on the market square, and we have an image of the market square. And at the same time, you want to show, if you can, visually, what it is to not have information, to show an absence. So then I thought, okay, if we zoom in, then you also become aware of the difference between seeing and hearing and how they affect you differently. If you just zoom in very, very slowly, then your ear takes over from your eye. And at the same time, it shows you the absence in the visual record, because we do not have any images of the deportation, for instance. So you cannot really show it. So I thought this was the best way to show that you cannot show it.
I thought it was extremely powerful, extremely powerful. We watch a lot of Holocaust film at the committee for the Jewish Film Festival, and in one of the films that we're showing, one of the survivors talks about how he went back to the camp that he was liberated from, and right outside they were selling tchotchkes, and it was for him jarring to see this, like spaces get tarred over, they get paved over, but I felt like zooming in, it's like you think about the sweat of the people who were in that square,
Exactly.
still in the ground. It's still there.
It's still absolutely there. Yeah.
And
And
so,
maybe that's what this movie, if you walk around there, I also went to Nachel's to record sound and to speak with the historian and so on. But you feel, but I have the same feeling in Amsterdam that we can't see it, but the history is it's still there. It's not gone, it's still there. It's that this kind of films make you very aware of that, of course.
yes, and I think that in itself is so powerful. You know, if you think about it, if you allow yourself to think about where you're walking, who walked there,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, it connects us.
Mhm.
Is what connects us. And so I noticed that at the end, you talked about the memorial that was put up at the cemetery.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about memorials,
Yes.
because to me, this film is a memorial. And I wondered how you saw it when did you make the film intentionally as a memorial, or did it begin to emerge as a memorial as you made the film?
I think both. While we were making it, and I really wanted to do that with this portrait. And the first time I asked to the Talmar, the special effects person, I said, I want you to take from the whole film all the individual faces and then see if we can build this gallery with it and give everyone a moment, let's say. And he came back and then there were only like 30 or 40 people. And I said, yeah, but where is everybody then? He said, yeah, but those other faces were on sharp or you couldn't see them very well. And I said, that doesn't matter. This is the last trace we have of these people, and it doesn't matter if it's fake or blurry or not to the standard we would like it to be. Just use it, because that in itself also tells a story that there's so little left of the people that were murdered. So that is also what I wanted to show. And for me, it was also important for the movie to give the while you're watching it, that you really have the feeling that you partake in creating a memorial. That is a kind of activity on the part of the viewer, that you're not just sitting there, but that you know that you're doing some kind of memorial work. That was kind of like my intention. Yeah. So there's a kind of active viewing, not passive viewing.
You definitely feel at the end of the film, you almost feel like you know these
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
You know, you see their personalities emerge. If you pay enough attention, you can watch, you know, different personalities, learning about the hats. You kind of learn a little bit about the people and what they did in their life. Just, it was amazing. And I really felt like, you know, I understand putting up memorials, and, you know, and I appreciate that, but this is a living memorial. I felt.
Exactly. Yes, yeah,
You know?
that was absolutely my intention. But it's very good now because in May, finally the memorial that is made on the place where the cemetery was. So all the stones were removed by the Nazis during the war. But the place where it was is still very visible, and every year a group of descendants goes there to clean it up and make it look good and so on. And there's now a kind of memorial. They also retrieved parts of the windows of that synagogue. So that is also part of the memorial, and there will be a dedication ceremony in May when also hopefully the movie will be shown there.
Are you going to go for that? Are you able to
I
travel?
absolutely intend to go. Yes.
You should be there. You need to be
Yes.
there.
Yes. Yes.
What do you want people to take away from the film?
Well, a few a few things really. Of course, in the first, never forget what's happened, and here we can, because of the miracle that we have this movie, you can zoom in on a few on one town and a few of the people of that town to realize that, yeah, this is not an abstract history book fact. This is what this happened to really living men, women, and especially children, of course, in this movie. So that is very important to me, and also that the magic of film, that we have this and can look at it, and how still wonderful that is.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I wish you
Thanks for
well.
having me.
What is your next project?
Well, they're making a film now of my book about Amsterdam, so I'm not the director of that, but that's also going to be a kind of documentary. So
Oh, I'm
for the
hoping you'll
rest, I
let
have
us
a
know
few
when it's
ideas.
ready.
Yeah, a few ideas that are not in a state that I can talk about.
Well, we'll be watching for it. You can be sure of that.
Thank you.
And maybe you can come to Chicago at that point.
That would be great. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.